Hello, my name is Tucker McPherson, and I will be talking to you about the pros and cons of sexual reproduction. First, let's start with what is reproduction. Reproduction is how every plant or animal creates offspring to continue the cycle of life. Sexual reproduction is where you take two parents to create an entirely new offspring, while asexual reproduction is where you copy yourself essentially to create another person exactly like you. This presentation will be focusing more on sexual reproduction, but it will mention asexual. How does sexual reproduction work? Well, sexual reproduction involves taking half of one parent's genes and half of another to make one whole and new and unique animal, with some evolutionary benefits possibly. These evolutionary traits could help with its survival and the diversity of the animal in and of itself. Now we're going to talk about why sexual reproduction has advantages over asexual reproduction. Well, the two that I could really think of is genetic diversity and disease resistance. Well, let's say that if an entire population of a species is the exact same, and a disease comes in and rids a few of them, it's very easy for that disease to keep spreading continuously because all of them have the same white blood cells and the same immune system to be able to fight off that virus. So there isn't much that they can do. But the diversity difference could mean that they have a better immune system than another and make it harder to take out the whole species and causing an extinction rate event. Next, let's talk about a success story. Charles Darwin's finches. Charles Darwin is the man who discovered evolution for the rest of the world. And he did a study where he noticed finches on the Galapagos Island all looked similar in many ways and flew in many different ways, but they had slight differences when noticing their beaks. They each had evolved differently on each island to eat different things. Some finches stayed in the air and went through trees to grab the bugs in between the wood and bark, while others stayed on the ground and tried to pick up rocks and get bugs underneath those. Next, we've been talking about the advantages for so long. Let's focus on some disadvantages. Well, first, the act of producing another offspring takes a lot of energy and time, which could be used very wisely towards finding food or shelter, as well as mate finding could be very difficult when taken into account of the different ritual dances that they have and predators that are around the area hunting them, as well as sexual reproduction almost always produces fewer offspring compared to asexual reproduction, so less of that species to be around. While I've been talking about this a lot and saying how sexual reproduction is better in a lot of ways, there's one animal that has trouble with it, and that's pandas. Because female pandas are only in heat and can produce kids for about 2 to 7 days throughout the year. 24 to 36 of those hours of those days, she is actually fertile. And the men pandas can't usually hint and take signs that the female is ready. So if the male wants to and tries to mate with the female when they are not ready, they usually get bitten. So it's usually a hard thing for pandas to create offspring and to take care of their kid. Next, let's compare the two. Sexual reproduction seems to be better in most situations because of its wide diversity advantages, but from that alone, its reproduction style thrives best when in large areas with many of the same species surrounding it, while asexual seems to be perfectly thriving in areas where their species is close to collapse and they can hide in a corner and continue to produce their offspring, bring back their civilization. Diversity matters because it contributes to the robustness of an ecosystem and helps to ensure that the species as a whole can survive many environmental challenges like outbreaks or diseases. Personally, after listening to this presentation and doing all the research for it, I think that sexual reproduction is better in almost all cases because of the evolutionary advantages. While asexual is still a very important factor in nature, I think the overall diversity advantages give sexual reproduction the edge on asexual reproduction. Here are my sources. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.